Hello everyone. I'm going to look at the Guardian newspaper. Yesterday, which was Sunday the 25th of March 2018, and today the 26th of March 2018, both days they've got something in about child abuse within Jehovah's Witnesses. We've talked before about Sarah Marsh. She had asked anyone abused to come forward. They could come forward in confidence. I'd like to thank Channel Nigel Rowley, as usual, for supplying information and leaks. He does have the links as well on his channel if you want to go over there. He's very good on getting the latest news. So I'll leave a link for this in the description and pinned to the top of the comments. It is very helpful for those who wish to find justice. Well, the best that justice can do for previous victims. We know there can never be proper justice. And protection for current and future children. It has to be. You can see this article has been shared over 4,000 times, so that's great. So over 100 people have contacted The Guardian. Excellent. Former and current members. 41, they have to say, alleged, legally, victims of child sexual abuse, describing the culture of cover-ups and lies, with senior members of the organisation known as Elders, discouraging victims from coming forward for fear of bringing reproach on Jehovah. This is the international thing that we hear. All these victims, they didn't huddle in a corner like 15 years ago and all get in a corner. Let's all make this up. They are telling the same story all over the world, over and over and over again. And each one of these stories is a real human being who's been through this. They've also heard from people who had experienced the physical violence, and that is so damaging, so damaging. So that's good that that's coming out. That needs to be told. And 35 witnessed or heard about others who are victims of child grooming and abuse. I hope the psychological trauma comes out, the psychological emotional trauma of Armageddon hanging over you. Okay, we can hope maybe some people in the UK, that's something you would like to write in about yourself in confidentiality. I didn't grow up a J-Dub, as I've said before, but I did grow up in a very similar regime, so I can empathise very much with what you all went through. So the stories do range from decades ago to more recent, which is good to have that spectrum. And many of those who came forward have now contacted the police. So you can see the items that they bring out are very much things that we'll know. Do look at in detail yourself, please, at the article. Talking about just the tip of the iceberg. Now, Rachel Evans, she has waived her right to anonymity. Thank you, Rachel, for doing that and sharing with us. That must be hard. She says, or she claims, you have to say, there was a paedophile ring active in the 70s. So there's a few of these that are in cases now that are under investigation, so they are limited in what they can say. She talks about the silencing, the in-house, and just like the Catholic Church, moving people around, just move you around. One who needs to be anonymous, she was abused by a ministerial servant. We know that in the hierarchy, people are not pure. Many times a week from the age of 3 till she was 12. Congregation elders knew that when I told them at 12 what had been happening. No steps were taken to tell the police. I had to tell 3 male senior figures what happened. Oh, this is the story again and again. How can you ask a child to relay those things? She didn't even have her mother with her. No. It's common sense. Oh, honey. Oh, pop it. So she did go to the police herself. Person pleaded guilty and convicted. People are talking about them losing their charity status because they're not protecting children. She now has mental health issues as a result of what happened and how it was dealt with. It's understandable, isn't it? Jason Monroe, that's his real name. Under investigation, his case. He had 10 years of abuse. These aren't even isolated incidences, just like Trisha has been saying in Canada. It took years of it, and elders knew. Oh. When a Jehovah's Witness experiences sexual abuse, they're supposed to report it to the elders. Always men. They go into the second witness rule, the further trauma. So there is this, I'd mentioned before, Bolt, Burden, Kemp, who are taking on people's cases, legal cases. About the alleged database, the UK Charity Commission, the New Moston congregation, which prompted changes, including making Watchtower change its policy so that victims are no longer required to confront their abuser face to face. It took that for Watchtower to realise. Didn't Jesus tell the governing body? What happened there? Didn't Jehovah tell Jesus to tell the governing body to tell that's how the regulations should change, that you don't do that to a child? What happened there with the line of communication? Oh dear. A former elder who was asked to investigate a child abuse case in 2007 claimed he was urged not to contact the police, although it was decided that the perpetrator should not be assigned to work with children. But they're out there in the world. Damn it. I hugely regret the fact that I wasn't able to do anything at the time. I didn't have the strength, and that lives with me, he said. Joe #4747 talks about his decisions, they're different to this, that he had to make as elders, that haunt him. That's really sad. That is very, very sad. And yeah, if they had no sex before marriage, while young, they had to give intimate details. No. Oh, and a 13-year-old girl, she was disfellowshipped and eventually asked to leave her parents' house. That sort of thing's still happening. The strict upbringings, the hierarchy, they are mentioning, psychological abuse were rife and often ignored. So that is Stephanie. Domestic violence, she was told by the elders to do nothing. The accused remained in the congregation with privileges and authority. Later, when I came out to the congregation elders as gay, they sent 2 men to my house and asked me in detail about sex and masturbation. But a domestically violent is a man because he's in authority, because they're in authority, so it has to be a man. That is allowed to stay in position. Operation Hydrant, I'd not heard of this. They're looking into non-recent child sexual abuse, dealing with 45 potential victims of child abuse within Jehovah's Witness setting. Allegations can be made by a third party, which either identifies or does not identify potential victim. Please, look at this yourself. If you can help, please do. But that's not to push anyone who has suffered it and is too traumatized that it's going to make them worse. Some people it can help. Some people say, I can't do it, or I can't do it at this stage of my life. That is fine. Hallisey said, given the number of Jehovah's Witnesses in the UK and what we know about the pervasiveness of abuse in the organisation, there are likely to be hundreds and probably thousands more victims. And they're talking still about ICSA, if they're going to go on to investigate Watchtower. We can but hope. So what do Watchtower say? What safeguarding children was of the utmost importance. They said that a victim and their family had the right to report allegations of child abuse to the police, and that the principle of sufficient evidence was a scriptural rule not related to reporting an allegation of crime to the authorities. Elders treat victims of child abuse with compassion, understanding, and kindness. Some will, okay, there will be some that do. We can't say 100%. But obviously in this situation, we're going to hear about the ones that were... Sorry, I'm making these noises. I don't know what else to do. Elders will conduct a scriptural investigation of every allegation of child sexual abuse, they said. And then perhaps like Christian on the W5 program, give you some magazines to read. Okay, thanks for watching. Next video will be on today's Guardian report. Thanks, bye.